so much for joining me on another episode of Espresso Entrepreneur, where I get to spotlight local business owners and everyone on what they love about their business and maybe talk a little bit about some of our favorite coffee orders, tea orders, all those great things. So I'm super excited to have my guest Terry with us today. Terry, thank you so much for coming on the call today. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, Terry and I connected, I want to say a few weeks ago now. Time is kind of not real for me, but we connected through Bree Talks, which is a great faith-based kind of like TEDx Talks for a lot of entrepreneurs. And let me tell you, when we connected one-on-one and she shared with me her story, her message, and what she's doing to help mostly women, I was like, we have to talk about this on the podcast. We have to learn more. So I'm really excited to get into it and I'll let her take it away. So Terry, why don't you share a little bit about, your story and kind of getting into this journey of coaching?
Okay, sure. So, actually, I'm a heart work journaling coach, and how it started, I would say I was looking for a place to kind of process my emotions because I grew up in a family. It was like, you're too much.
Mm.
Um, you know, you make mountains out of a molehill. You're just too sensitive. My dad would say things like, "You want to, yeah, you want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about." Like that feeling of like my feelings like didn't count, and I just didn't know what to do with that. I was a lonely little girl, and so I kind of got the message like there's something wrong with me. Like I'm too sensitive. And don't get me wrong, my parents loved me. I had a loving family. They just weren't used to it. So I kind of grew up in that environment and dealt with like anxiety, depression, and going through life, learning. I got into like positive thinking, like this is good. This is good. Like, your mindset, what you focus on, um, can make a difference. And it did, but it still was missing the piece of like, it was still almost ignoring, like, okay, the negative, we don't look at that. Like, push it down, which is what I had learned all my life. So I was still searching for something. And I found this, it was called Doodle Your Emotions. And I found it online and I took the class and I really like loved it because I was learning like, you know, the emotions aren't good or bad. Like it's okay to have all your emotions. And so it was a place where I could begin to feel like, okay, I am okay. Because all my life I'm thinking, you know, I'm too much for people. I can't share what I really feel. So fast forward, I started to do the Heartwork Journaling University. I did that for a year, really, really got great benefit out of it. And then they had a coaching certificate, and I did that. So that's how I became a coach. And I guess I'm focusing on relationships. I mean, definitely the relationship with yourself is the beginning of it, but also I've been married for 40 years and I was in a place, thank you, thank you. Um, we loved each other, but it was the same kind of thing. Like I felt so stuck. Like I couldn't get him to change. Like if he would be different, I could feel better, right? So through the heart work journaling, a big lesson that I learned was like accepting him for how he is and just loving him. An example of that is we were cooking one night and he would drive me crazy with his cooking because he's like perfectionist. Got to measure just right, put the goggles on for the onions. Anyway, I thought, all right, I'm just going to let him be how he is. I'll do it my way. And you know what, Macy? I realized after we were done, I've been longing for years for more connection and felt powerless. Like he had to change for me to be able to feel that. And it wasn't true. I I made a difference by accepting him. We felt more connected. So it's just so powerful work, such powerful work. So
Yeah.
that made me want to really share it with other people.
That's amazing. I so love your story, and I think it's one of those stories that really resonates with every single person, because there's just so much on, you're not supposed to feel this emotion, you're not supposed to tell people that you feel this emotion. Whether it's like,
Yes,
even extreme happiness, right? Like you're super excited for something, and then other
yes,
people love to kind of be like, wait, why are you so excited for something so like, mundane? And it's like, well, that's not the point, right? It's, some of us feel a lot stronger about some things than others, and that's totally okay.
yes,
But I think having big emotions can always be seen as almost a detriment to other people, as they think like,
yes,
oh, you're too emotional, like you're too sensitive. And it's like, no, there's something so great about being able to feel so happy about certain things, and also being allowing yourself to feel sad, like it exists on both
yeah,
spectrums. So I love that you shared that, and you were open and you were vulnerable about that. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was really powerful and amazing.
sure, yeah,
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit on more what this journaling is, right? So you talked a little bit about maybe like your transformation through it. But I'd love for people to know, like, they might hear this and go like, what does this mean? Like, I don't know, like journaling, I just write everything down, or like what does that look like? So why don't you share a little bit about
Okay,
that?
great question. So, yeah, it's not what I think of as the traditional journaling where you just write your whole story, but like maybe get journal prompts, like ask you questions, and then you can think of like a couple answers. And doodling is kind of, wish I would have thought about showing you a picture. I don't know. Anyway,
You can send me a picture and I'll put it up on the screen in editing.
okay.
Mhm.
So anyway, it's like it gives you a chance to see it from a different perspective. Like, you know, um, it's one thing for it to all be in your head, your thoughts and all that, but it's another thing to see it. And you can kind of get some distance from it and maybe look at it a little better. And it's also a chance to kind of play, and we do some painting with it. So it helps to, what would you say, like when you're learning, it helps you to learn it quicker through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And especially when it's, your emotions and your feelings. I think we all think that we just keep everything inside of us for the rest of our lives and we just walk around with that.
Yeah.
But part of the reason of journaling and doing things like doodling and painting and not just,
Yes.
writing down your thoughts is some of these emotions, they kind of go onto this page and then they don't really fester in us anymore, right? It doesn't bother us as much anymore. We kind of get it out of our system, right? Like, like there have been times, I'm sure everyone has felt like this, like they weren't necessarily sad, but they just needed like a really good cry to just get everything out. Or
Yes.
like you feel so mad, like you just have to yell, you have to do something, which is a bad way to do it. You don't want to yell at
You could
anyone or
paint
anything.
black on the
Yes,
page.
exactly. Like there's
Yeah.
just so many ways.
Yeah.
So I love doodling. I can't draw, I can't paint for anything. I really
Well,
can't, but
that's,
I love to do it. I love to do it. I just
oh,
like to
okay.
do circles. Circles, like it doesn't come out as anything, like you can't really see anything, but I love just writing things down and doing circles and hearts, 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 flowers, flowers, flowers everywhere. I'm like, this is good enough for me. I feel great about this.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we always say, the saying is it's not about the artwork, it's about the heart work. Like people don't have to
Oh,
do, trust
yeah.
me, I'm not an artist, but it's just like it's about the heart work. It's what you're doing.
Oh,
It's
that's
not, it doesn't have to look
adorable.
good. It doesn't have to be
No.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all about you at the end of the day, right? It's one of those
Yep.
things where we can say it's all about you at the end of the
There you
day.
go.
Not many instances you can say that. Um,
Yes.
but what is I'd love to know on your entrepreneur journey so far, is there any like big lesson you've learned that you're like, wow, I didn't realize I was gonna have to learn this or go through this?
Um, well, I would say the thing that sticks out to me that has really been helpful for me is not to be attached to the outcome. Like, say I'm
Mm,
contacting people, right? And, and they're not responding or, whatever. Like, don't take it personal. Like, oh, they don't like me, or start telling yourself stories. Like, it's like being less attached to it. Just do the thing and keep doing it. Like,
definitely.
because I would, otherwise I get stuck and, be in bed for a couple days under the covers.
Oh,
No.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
So,
it's so true.
yeah. So just not being attached to it, but keep going. It's been
Yeah.
helpful.
And I think, especially for me, is like I'm a very emotional and sensitive person, but I really learned that not getting attached to the outcome because I learned for myself, like the more that I kept doing it, the more that I would learn. And I just
Yep.
treated everything like a learning or like, okay, this didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? Is there something that I can
Yes.
move? Like maybe I didn't like the sentence that I said, so I can change that up. Or I didn't like this message, so I'll change it up. And you can't really get attached to, all of these things of maybe some people don't like you anymore, or they didn't
Yeah.
like you, or they didn't like this message. Because I've actually been a part of many instances where I was like, oh, like writing things off, like, oh, that person will probably, never buy with me, never but work with me, never talk to
Okay.
me again. A few months later, they come back and they're like, hey, I want to do something with you. I have an idea. Let's do something. So I really love what you shared about that because it's probably like the most important lesson when it comes to entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur and having your own business and all the
Yeah.
craziness that comes with it.
Yeah. Yeah. All the
Yeah.
learning, all the learning.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it never ends. It never
Yeah.
ends. You think, oh, I've learned everything. No. It's like a new thing has come out, or there's just something
Yeah.
else you don't know. So you never want to think you know everything. You don't know. You probably don't know like a quarter of everything out there.
That's right. And that's
um,
okay.
and that is okay. So I'd love to know before we wrapped it up,
Yes.
what like maybe what's your beverage of choice, first of all? Let me make sure I ask that. Like
Uh,
coffee, tea,
well, I
water.
do both. I do
There
coffee
you
and
go.
tea.
Okay, so if you could have coffee or tea with any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who
Oh,
would it be and
okay.
why?
I think it would be Mel Robbins.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'd probably leave that like coffee connection like it wasn't the coffee that gave you the energy, it was Mel Robbins.
definitely. Definitely.
Like you don't even need
Yes.
the coffee. Like that's the caffeine right there. That's all the energy boost you need right there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Terry, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a few minutes. I really loved the it's not about the artwork, it's the heart work. I'm gonna take that with me wherever I go. But thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me, sharing your story and sharing what you're doing to help others. I know before we hop off that you actually have something that you'd love to share with my viewers on if they're interested in learning more about what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Like I actually do coaching and currently I'm having a special. So it's for 8 session, it's $450. And if they mention your podcast, they get an extra 10% off.
Wow, that's so
Yeah,
kind. Well, I appreciate it. So I'll make sure I have all of Terry's information in the description in any show notes so people can click, copy, paste, check it out, send it to their friends, all those great things. So Terry's doing some amazing stuff in her community and otherwise. So Terry, I appreciate your time today. This was a huge blast.
yeah, it was fun, fun, fun.
Of course. And for everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.